I left the high school group chat in March, on a Tuesday at 1:03 p.m., because there's only so much fake nostalgia a person can take before it feels like a mosquito whining in your ear. I tapped leave and watched my name disappear from the participants list like I'd pushed myself off a raft. At 1:05 a.m. that night, my phone buzzed. You were added to Eagles 11. The admin was listed as unknown. No number, no photo. I typed, "Who is this?" then deleted it, because I'm not a 16-year-old seeking a hallway. I muted the conversation and rolled over. The room had that city quiet that's not quiet at all. Ambulances like distant arguments, a neighbor's TV summarizing a life I hadn't asked to see. At 1:11 a.m., a photo appeared in the chat. It was my apartment hallway, tonight, taken from outside my front door, the fisheye bend from my peephole like a signature. Empty, except for a package on the doormat that I hadn't ordered. I sat up too fast, and the room narrowed. My front door chain was on. I padded over, looked through the peephole, same scene, no package. I opened the door, chain still on, and saw only the welcome mat I bought on sale because irony was cheap. No package. Back in bed, the chat kept typing. Unknown, remember senior prank. Unknown, your locker code was 1433-8. Unknown, you skipped third period on 10/12. I left the chat again. Immediately, you were added to Eagles 11 by unknown. At 1:24 a.m., a voice note arrived. It was my voice, saying don't answer, like I'd recorded it in a tunnel. I hadn't recorded it. I hadn't said those words out loud since I was 17, and we dared each other to call the number they said was the coach's ex. I reported the group. I blocked the number. I turned the phone face down like that mattered. At 1:33 a.m., the apartment intercom rang. The chat posted a new photo, my lobby, and a message, "Open up." The photo showed the mailboxes. One had my name on it. Someone had traced a heart in dust on it with a fingertip. I watched that heart smear in real time on the photo, like the past can develop twice. The next morning I told myself we invent hauntings when we're lonely. I went to work, sold coffee to people who believed in Monday. I turned my phone off during my shift, the way we used to in class. When I turned it on, at 4:10 p.m., the chat had 312 messages, photos of places I'd been that day, the bus stop, the corner with the vendedor who sells elotes out of a cooler, the crosswalk where the paint wears off the middle first. No faces, just the spaces where a person could be if they wanted to be me. I left again. I was added back again, this time with a note. We voted. That night, the messages took a different tone. Screenshots from the old Facebook album nobody deletes because shame has a slow digestion. My face at 17 with hair I thought was brave. My friends list with people I now pretended were podcasts I no longer subscribed to. Then a photo I had never seen. Me and Kayla on the roof of the school after homecoming, the skyline pretending it had always meant well. We never posted that one. We promised not to. "Okay," I said, out loud, to a room that prefers declarations. "Who are you?" "Unknown, we're you." "Unknown, we're the part that kept the keys." At 2:02 a.m., my phone started adding my contacts to the group, by itself, people I hadn't talked to in years. They lit up one by one. Kayla, T, Ben with the eyes, even Ms. Wilkes, the guidance counselor, who used to chew peppermint like it could save her. Everyone added. Then the icon changed to the school's mascot, an eagle with a copyright problem. I went to the door, because when there's a noise in a horror movie and the audience yells, "Don't," I always think someone has to be the person who knows. The peephole showed a hallway I recognized as mine, except the exit sign at the end was the old style, red block letters on glass. Ours had been replaced last summer with green LED arrows you can't ignore. The photo the chat posted next matched exactly, the old sign glowing. I lifted the chain and opened the door 2 inches. The hallway looked back at me in the language it knows. Carpet, paint, the sound the elevator makes when it gets tired. The exit sign above my head glowed green, correct, modern. I closed the door and relocked it with a habit I believed in more than God. "Stop," I typed. "Enough." Unknown, "Will stop when you show up." Me, "Where?" Unknown, "Old Gym, 11 p.m., no phones." At 10:30 p.m., I was at the bus stop, like a decision that had learned to be legs. The old gym wasn't ours for a decade. They built a new one and turned the old one into a rec center that closed at 9. The parking lot was empty, except for 3 light poles that made circles of moths. The chat went quiet for the first time in 2 days. Silence has a geography.
The side door by the locker rooms was propped with a rock the way rocks don't choose. Inside, the lights were off, except for the emergency strips along the floor that give off that airplane aisle glow. The smell was the same: rubber, dust, sweat that has become history. Halfway to center court, my phone vibrated, even though I'd put it in airplane mode. "Unknown, thanks for coming back." My shoes squeaked once, the way fear squeaks when it pretends to be traction. From the far end, a figure stepped into the glow. A girl my age at graduation, wearing a hoodie with the school crest, hair in the braid I wore when I said I'd never cut it. She smiled like a mirror forgiving a face. "Kayla?" I asked, because categories help. She shook her head. "We're who you left," she said. The voice was layered, echoes of the group chat names said too fast to separate. "We keep the hours, we keep the names, we kept the door open." She gestured toward the gym doors. In the glass, for a second, I saw not the parking lot, but a hallway with red exit signs and a row of lockers that had been removed in 2016. "What do you want?" I asked. "To add you back," she said, almost tender. "You left before the bell rang. You left before the prank. You left us in the group chat. Somebody has to carry the year." I backed toward the center line because lines mean something. I said, "No, I'm busy being this." I waved at my body like a joke. She tilted her head like a dog learning a bad word. "You could be both," she said. "We'll keep the photos. You keep the faces." She held up a phone that wasn't there. "Say yes." "No," I said again, and felt the world choose teams. The emergency lights flickered. From the locker hallway came the slap of flip-flops on tile, the jangle of keys, the sound of someone writing names on a whiteboard that had no marker. I turned and ran, the way you're not supposed to run, because I don't like rules that forget they're for people. The door opened to the right parking lot, mine, with the 3 moth circles, and not to the old one, where the coach's Impala used to sit as if loyalty had a model year. Outside, the chat went quiet again. At home, I left the group. You were added to Eagles 11 by unknown. I muted forever. That night, my phone recorded a voice memo at 2:03 a.m. by itself. When I played it back in the morning, it was my voice. Don't answer. I deleted it. It reappeared. I renamed it Senior Prank. It stayed. If there's advice here, it's small. Leave the groups that make your ribs tight. If they add you back, don't open the door to the hallway with the wrong exit sign. If your past wants you to carry a year, put it in airplane mode. Count the names you still have and turn the phone face down. The people worth keeping aren't the ones who vote you into a room you've already left.
My phone backs up at 2 a.m., which feels like a private deal the device makes with my sleep. Every morning I get a little banner, 72 photos backed up. I don't take that many photos. Not on weekdays. Not in February. On Tuesday, the banner said, 1 photo restored. Restored from what? It didn't say. I opened Google Photos, and there it was at the top of recents. A mirror selfie I took last year in my old apartment bathroom, the one with the humming light and the polite mold. I deleted that photo because my face looked like a person who'd been reminded too often. It was back now. I tapped it. It wasn't the same. In the fogged mirror, behind my shoulder, 2 people stood where there had been no one, indistinct, like the glass was pretending new history. A tall man in a suit and a shorter woman with hair that belongs in yearbooks. No faces, just silhouettes in the suggestion of steam. I checked the metadata, because that's what a person does to reality now. Taken, 04:22 a.m. Today. Location, my current address, but the tiles in the photo were the old apartment's cheap white squares. The world had misfiled my bathroom. I screenshotted. I sent it to 3 friends with "lol glitch." They responded with normal jokes that meant "I love you." I deleted the photo. It slid into bin. I emptied bin. The space cleared. I made coffee. At 8:31 a.m., 1 photo restored again. Same image. This time, the woman's head was turned more toward camera, the suggestion of a smile in the condensation like a child's drawing of teeth. I went to work. The espresso machine at the cafe coughed as if beans had a memory. At lunch, I checked recents. There were 3 more versions. In one, the man's hand rested on my shoulder, where my shoulder had been a year ago. In another, the mirror had wiped itself clean around the faces, leaving my reflection a smear. I called my old landlord. "Can I swing by? I think I left something." He sounded surprised to be included in the present. "Sure, the new tenant's out till 6. The apartment smelled the same. Boiled cabbage from downstairs, laundry soap with ideas. The bathroom light hummed its familiar song. The mirror had a crack now, a hairline from top right corner to middle left. I looked into it and saw myself and also a woman who might be me if I had kept different promises. I bent close. The crack wavered like it could hear my breathing. Behind me, the corridor reflected someone turning the corner. I spun. Empty. The mirror showed the woman still, now closer, her hair damp as if the room had remembered rain. I took a photo of the mirror, because apparently I hadn't learned yet. The photo showed the old selfie, the first one, me in last year's shirt, but the timestamp in the corner read 04:22 a.m. tomorrow. My phone wasn't set wrong. Time was.
Back home that night, I taped a Post-it over my front camera like a cliché and put the phone face down. At 4:22 a.m., my bedroom light turned itself on. The chimed, "One photo restored." I didn't open it. I lay very still and listened to the bulb fill the room with a hum I could almost believe was kindness. In the morning, 10 more versions had appeared. In the latest, the man and woman were looking at me. The woman's lips were in that shape people make when they're about to say your name but haven't decided which nickname to use. The man's suit had a funeral's texture. Between them, faintly, a third figure peered over their shoulders, a child, or a distortion, or a memory practicing faces. I did the adult thing, made an appointment with the phone store. The kid behind the counter said, "Whoa," like it meant anything, then took the phone in the back. 10 minutes later, he handed it back and said the words you say when you need a story to be over. "It's fixed." The gallery was empty. He'd wiped cache, cleared bin, salted the earth. At 4:22 a.m. the next day, my smartwatch buzzed me awake. One photo restored. I opened it to learn the terms. The mirror selfie had changed location again, now the cafe bathroom where I work. Same figures, the woman's head tilted at an angle necks don't like. On the stall door behind her, someone had scrawled, "Don't delete," in Sharpie that hadn't been there at close. I scrubbed the words off the door with all-purpose cleaner before my shift. They came off the door. They didn't come off the photo. I printed one of the restored images at the drugstore because doing something analog felt like a treaty with reality. The clerk handed it to me like it might break. In the print, the figures were sharper. The man's hand on my shoulder had rings, one thick, one thin. The woman's smile wasn't a smile. It was teeth shown for counting. The faint third figure at their shoulders had my old haircut. I took the print to my grandmother because she keeps the family photos in boxes labeled with years instead of names. Her living room carries the smell of dust that has gone to church. She said, "They look like relatives," and meant it. She pointed to an album from 1979. Inside, a black and white shot of my great-aunt's wedding. The groom's hand wore a thick ring and a thin ring. The bride had a smile that tried too hard. On the edge of the dance floor, a child looked into the camera with my face from first grade. She tapped the page. She said, "They died in a crash. On the way home. Nobody saved the negatives." She looked at my print and did not cross herself. She is practical. She said, "Maybe the pictures want to be carried. Maybe something got left in the glass." At 4:22 a.m. that night, the apartment mirror fogged by itself. In the glass, letters drew themselves in water. "Keep." I wiped my hand across. The letters smeared and then redrew. "Look." I held up my phone and took a photo because I am bad at learning. The image saved as restored before I could set it down. I don't delete them now. I put them in an album called Family and let them stack like pancakes nobody asked for. New versions arrive at 4:22 a.m. every few days. Different mirrors, different rooms, sometimes bus windows at night with my reflection stitched to theirs. I don't show them to many people. The kid at the phone store would only say, "Whoa," anyway. If something in your pocket starts carrying pictures you didn't take, ask your oldest relative to name the faces. If they can't, name them yourself. So whatever is keeping count has a place to file. If words appear in your mirror, don't delete them. Write them down on paper with a pencil like promises used to be made. When 4:22 a.m. comes, be awake or pretend to be. The photos prefer an audience. If you see a child looking over two shoulders, teach them your name early. They might be the one who keeps the album when you forget you ever had a face.
The meeting was scheduled for 30 minutes because nobody loves each other. Weekly stand-up, 5 faces in little squares, the kind of corporate intimacy that makes your webcam the most honest thing in the room. I hosted because I drew the short straw in March and never handed it back. At 10 a.m., everyone filed in. Sandra apologized for her toddler. Marcus's background was a beach that had never seen him. Priya's mic did that ring that means a headset is dying. We went around the horn. Tickets, blockers, performance notes that mean we're scared of the metric. I hit end at 10:28 because I am merciful. The grid disappeared. The little red light on my laptop camera stayed on. I clicked around like a person who believes in settings. No zoom processes showed. The red dot stayed like a blood spot on a white shirt. I put a post-it over it because that's what people who read advice blogs do. At 10:31, the Zoom chimes sounded again. You are the host. Meeting has started. The grid popped up by itself, same 5 squares, Sandra, Marcus, Priya, me, and one labeled null, a black square with a name that looked like a programmer's prank. Very funny, Marcus said, which is what you say when things aren't. I moved to end the call. A chat message appeared from null. Can you hear me? Priya typed, who is that? Null typed, I've been here since yesterday. Sandra killed her video like a curtain closing. Her audio stayed, I have to pick up, the sentence cut in half like ribbon. Her square froze on a smile that would be pretty if it weren't borrowed. I ended the meeting. Zoom asked, are you sure? Other participants may still be in progress. I clicked End for All with enough force to make a mouse feel judged. The red light stayed. My calendar chimed, 11 o'clock, one-on-one with manager. I went for a walk around the block because sun is a thing that makes better essays. When I got back, the Zoom window was open again. The meeting title at the top read Weekly Stand-Up Live, and the timestamp said 23:49:12, like it had been running since yesterday. The grid showed no one. Then, the black null tile lit with green around its edges like a person had spoken. Benjamin. I don't know why I answered out loud. I'm not Ben, I said. Benjamin, it repeated like a parrot reading a spell. Then, count the names. I closed the laptop. The red light glowed on, a tiny night sun. In the lid's reflection, for a second, I saw a face that wasn't mine. Not scary, just wrong, like when a photo app guesses you're someone else. I reopened. The chat history was full now, timestamps stretching back beyond any meeting we had ever had, messages from null at 3:11 a.m., 4:22 a.m., 5:03 a.m., hello, hello, hello. Then, who stayed? I unplugged the webcam. The red light stayed on. I pulled the USB dongle for the keyboard. The keys kept working. I turned off Wi-Fi. You are offline appeared, but the meeting did not end. At 1:40 p.m., my phone buzzed. A calendar invite arrived from null at no domain, daily check-in, required, recurring forever. Location, your apartment. I declined. The meeting accepted itself anyway. The next morning, the stand-up started at 10 a.m. whether I joined or not. My teammates messaged me in Slack. You in? Zoom link? I typed, link in calendar, and added a smiley that didn't have the right face. The call ran itself. I watched as a screen share started from the null square. It showed a file explorer window with folders named after our names. Mine opened. Inside were screenshots of my desktop, taken at times I wasn't here, and a folder called Living Room. Inside that, clips from my laptop camera, me pouring coffee, me scratching my head, me asleep on the couch with Netflix, asking if I was still watching like a concerned aunt. "Okay," Marcus said too loudly, "I'm out." He left the meeting. The green border hopped to another square. The black tile whispered, "Don't go downstairs." None of us have downstairs. All of us live in flats. The message felt like a hand on a railing. At 10:19, my manager joined, already mid-sentence the way managers are, then stopped when she saw null. "Who invited InfoSec?" she said, trying to laugh. The black tile typed, "Count the names." I asked, "Names of what?" Because I have a dumb brain that likes nouns.
"Who stayed after the call ended?" it typed. Then the screen share switched to a security cam feed, not ours. A conference room I didn't recognize. Long table, 8 chairs, glass wall on one side. 3 people asleep on their arms. A 4th looking at the camera like a kid holding a secret in his mouth. The timestamp read March 2020. "Cute," my manager said, and left. The meeting kicked her back in. I called IT. They put in a ticket. The ticket responded, "Resolved with no notes." The red light blinked once, as if acknowledging applause. At night, I dreamed in grids. Boxes of faces I loved when I had a different salary. The black square always there, like a tooth missing in a smile. In the dream, when the meeting ended, no one left. We all sat on mute, waiting for the host to notice. We were good. We were done. We had given enough of our heads to the camera for today. Nobody noticed. We were still in progress. On Thursday, Priya DM'd, "My camera light won't turn off. Is yours?" I typed, "Yeah." She sent a photo of her laptop closed, the little red dot bleeding under the seam like a sunset with nowhere to go. She wrote, "I can hear it." I asked, "Hear what?" "The chime," she said, "when I breathe out." I started keeping a list of names on a notebook by the laptop. My team, the people who have ever been squares in my life. When null typed, "Count the names," I did. It made a shape in my head like scaffolding. The red light softened when I reached 30. It brightened when I stopped. Friday, HR sent a company-wide email, friendly reminder, turn off cameras when not in a meeting. The reply all storm began. Someone wrote, "Mine won't turn off." Someone else, "Mine turns on by itself at night." The original sender replied, "IT is looking into it." I imagined IT standing in a room of humming laptops, like candles at Mass. At 10 o'clock Monday, the meeting started early. The title said, "Weekly Stand-Up Memorial." The black tile was the only one with video on. A face flickered in and out, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, sometimes blurred like someone scribbling over a portrait. The chat filled with names, random first names, then full names, then names with middle initials like memorial walls no one asked to carve. "Who are those?" I asked. "Who stayed after the call ended," it typed. "Who sat very still when the host forgot to press end. who kept working when the building emptied, who kept their cameras on so the room would not feel alone. Count them. I listed them out loud until my voice learned the slope. The red light cooled a degree. I don't end the meeting anymore. I let it run. Volume at 0, window minimized, the black tile floating somewhere under my day. At night, the chime wakes me at 3:11, 4:22, 5:03. I say names like a person who believes in names. The red light is softer now. The face in the reflection is sometimes mine. If you host calls, make sure you end them like a prayer. If your camera stays on, cover it with a post-it and then with your hand, because skin counts as software to some things. If a black square asks you to count, count. It may not be God. It may just be the part of the internet that hates empty rooms. Either way, names are a way to keep the lights from thinking you left.